Alrighty. So, what is your birthday?
My date of my birth,
Yes.
October 28th, 1929.
Okay. Did your parents tell you anything about the day you were born? Anything like?
The day I was born? Yes, they did. They lived over on Hill Street in Long Beach. That's on the west side. And they had just laid the little steps and platform to go into the house on that little home over there. And my mother worked with him. And before you knew it, she went into labor and had me. So I remember that. That was the day I was born.
Oh, interesting.
What would you call it? A front porch area. Yeah,
Okay.
front porch, the cement in the front porch.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, she was doing that when she went into labor.
Okay, so you were born then at your house, or?
I was born in a home.
In a home.
In that home. Right
Okay.
over on, it's called Hill Street, Long Beach, West Hill Street. I don't remember, I don't recall the number of the little house.
Okay.
Just a little small home there.
Okay.
It was right off of, let's see, Hill Street would have been off of Magnolia, over in that area,
Okay.
west side.
Interesting. Let's see here. What's your like your full name, first, middle, and last?
Rosalie, Adria, and my maiden name was Redding, Redding.
Okay.
Rosalie Adria Redding.
What is the first house or apartment that you remember growing up in as a child?
As a child, yeah, that one there. We moved right after that. We moved to Los Angeles, and we were in St. Aloysius Parish up in Los Angeles.
Okay.
And then we came back to Long Beach
Okay. So you've lived in California your whole life.
all my life. Born and
Okay.
raised Long Beach, California.
Okay. How did your family earn money? Like, what was the profession of both your parents?
My dad worked for the Southern Pacific Railroad, checker,
Okay.
and my mother was a homemaker.
Okay.
That's after she was married. She was a school teacher for that.
Okay. What kinds of things did your family spend money on?
Pardon?
What kind of things did your family spend money on? Like, that weren't essential, like,
My mother and dad?
yeah.
Oh no, they lived through the Depression. I don't remember anything, them spending money much on anything. They had very little, see, because it was a bad time. I don't know if you heard about the Great Depression.
Yeah.
And back he was in Montana. They were living with my mother's sister. At that time they stayed there, and then he got the call from LA. They wanted him to come to the Southern Pacific Railroad, and he got a job.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember them spending money on anything. They were very conservative.
Okay. How many siblings did you have, like brothers and sisters?
I had 3 sisters and 1 brother.
Okay. What were their names?
The eldest was Marjorie,
Okay.
and Mary was second, and I was the third one, Rosalie. And Florentine was the youngest girl, and then my brother Jimmy came.
Okay.
It was 4 girls and 1 boy.
Okay. What do you have any specific memories with your siblings that you remember from childhood or young adult?
When I lived at home,
Yeah, like with your siblings, do you have like a most like important memory you have like with your siblings? Or, like something you did, or maybe like some family trip or something?
with my siblings, gee, you're so little then, I don't probably recall anything especially, because we were pretty much at home all the time, because it was the Depression. I remember the earthquake in 1933.
Okay.
We lived over there on Hill Street. I remember the earthquake.
What do you remember about the earthquake?
Well, my brother, they had little swings, and it was hooked to the center of the doorway. And I remember when it hit, my dad didn't take it. He reached for that instead of trying to get him out of the swing, my brother. And we all had to get outdoors, but I was on me. I went to the front door. I wanted to know what was happening. I didn't scare.
Yeah.
And I went to the front door, and as I did the street over there on, that'd be
Daisy.
21st Street, split in the middle, and it just opened up the street. Water was gushing out of it. Then I got out of the house and I went outdoors.
Was that 2090 Daisy?
That was, no, that was on Hill Street. I was young then, real young, but yeah.
4.
Uh-huh. So I do remember that. That left an impression.
What year was the earthquake about?
1933.
1933.
1933 was the great earthquake in Long Beach.
Wow.
It was a good one.
Destroyed St. Anthony Church.
Pardon, honey?
Destroyed St. Anthony
Oh,
Church.
I know it. Yeah, it was. People slept up. We slept outdoors then
Really?
for weeks. We stayed outdoors because there was so many aftershocks.
Wow.
Yeah, you didn't go in the house, and it was just a one-story, small home, cottage home.
Wow.
But we slept outdoors,
Wow.
all of us. It was like camping.
What do you remember about your grandparents from either side?
My grandparents on my mother's side, they came out to California, and a taxi pulled up in front of our house. We were living by St. Anthony's then, a little rent home, and Grandpa got out and he gave me 50 cents. And I didn't know what it was my birthday, and he surprised me and gave me, and I didn't know he'd remember my birthday, but I was impressed that I had never had 50 cents. And instead of putting it in my pocket, I cashed the 50 cents and I gave my sisters and my brother each a dime, so we all had 10 cents. And after we see you, let it burn a hole in your pocket. But he said, it showed your charity, that you didn't keep it all for yourself, that you shared it with your family. And I didn't have to do that, but I did. I was always that way, giving something away. But I had more joy in giving than receiving.
Do you remember the names or birthdays of any of your grandparents? Or birth years, rough estimates?
No, I was so young when Grandpa Redding died. I think I was 3 years old. I don't remember. I sat on his lap once, Grandpa Redding. They lived on eucalyptus right around from where we were.
Okay.
And my dad had a terrible toothache, I remember, during the night. And he had to go to a dentist, and there his dad had died. Never met, left an impression on me, because he was suffering with that. But no, I can't remember a lot about them because I was 3 years old. I was so young when they
Right.
died.
Right.
What was his name?
His name was Jim Redding, too.
Senior?
Mm-hmm. And Dad was Jim, and his brother was Joe. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's see. What were you like as a child? Like, did you have any favorite foods or like favorite hobbies to do?
Well, more than anything, I think I was never afraid. I would be the first. My sister says, "Oh, you can't do that. They get scared." No matter what it was, I would do it. I was not a fearful child. Nothing scared me.
Okay.
That there was kind of nice, I thought. I was the first of the sisters to drive a car. Oh, you can't do that. I drive a car. My Johnny taught me. And I was older then. But, I'd jump on that trolley there and go up into Los Angeles. Forget about time, go into Hollywood. I loved seeing the movie stars. Then they were nice. Red Skelton and all the comedians. And then they had vaudeville. You could just walk into a theater and watch vaudeville. And I'd love doing that. And I'd come home. Luckily, I got the last bus before we got on the trolley.
Wow.
Came down Long Beach Boulevard. And so I would say I was not a fearful child.
Wow.
Nothing scared
American
me.
Avenue.
There, yeah, we called it Long Beach Boulevard.
Yeah. That's what it was officially, huh? American Avenue.
Yeah, it was American Avenue, officially.
I know you mentioned the earthquake, but what other big world events do you remember from your lifetime?
World events?
Yeah.
At what age? You mean when I was
Younger.
when I was younger?
Yeah.
At that age, it was the earthquake that would impress me the most. That really stayed with me. And then if you had somebody from school that was killed up in Los Angeles, St. Aloysius, there was a girl.
World War
That was later, yeah. But she was a young girl, and she was hit by a car, and my mother wanted me to go with her, and we went over to the mortuary to see her, and that made quite an impression on me because she was so young.
Right.
And then later, when the World War II started, yeah.
Do you remember World War II?
Oh, I sure do, because we had to keep all the lights off in the house and pull shades,
Really?
because they say they came pretty close out here, Long Beach, the harbor. They were pretty close out there. They always said it was the Carmelite nuns that saved us because they were always praying for us there. They overlooked the ocean. So, yeah, that always bothered because the house was dark. You had to keep lights off, and you'd hear the sirens going.
Really?
Yeah, you could hear sirens going. That meant you had to keep everything dark. That left an impression.
Was your husband ever deployed on any war, or did he ever get drafted or anything like that?
He enlisted. My husband John. He enlisted in the Navy.
Okay. What wars did he go to? Did he go on any tours anywhere?
That'd be that's the Second World War.
Oh, so he was active during World War II?
Yeah, he was active during that. Yeah, he was in the Navy. He was on a destroyer.
Okay. Do you know where he went?
I don't know how far he went. I think they were in Hawaii, different places. I don't know how far he went. I don't know. Did you ever talk to Dad about it, John?
It was in the Asian theater
Yeah.
over there, the
Yeah.
Philippines and
Yeah.
in that area.
Uh-huh.
Stopped in Hawaii,
Uh-huh.
Honolulu, where
Yes, that's
Pearl
right.
Harbor was,
Mm-hmm.
and was when main like battleships or larger ships or whatever were hit, sunk, whatever. Then he retrieved. They retrieved either guys that were survivors from the sunken ships or the bodies from in the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
And
He was a pharmacist mate
yeah,
in the Navy.
Oh, is that what his title was?
Yeah, he was.
official title.
Pardon?
That's his official title.
Yeah, he was a pharmacist mate.
Right.
Interesting.
But toward his education, then he went to California College in Mortuary Science. And I went through for his college.
What inventions do you remember the most from?
Say that again?
Like, what inventions do you remember being very like revolutionary growing up?
Inventions?
Yeah, like things that were.
Well, when Howard Hughes was in Long Beach with his, I forget the name of that airplane, and he got up and took off. John saw him.
Spruce.
You could wave at him, Howard Hughes, huh?
Spruce goose.
The spruce goose, I saw that.
Okay.
Yeah.
TV.
Yeah, like, do you remember any like was it like TVs or phones or?
Well, we didn't get TV till after, much later. First TV we had was we lived over there on East Side Long Beach. We had a television. Milton Berle was on. I could remember that. And Bishop Fulton J. Sheen was very impressive. I remember that with television, but it was such a small little set. It was just starting out then.
Right. Had there always been phones around, like landlines or some way of calling someone?
Yeah, we had a landline.
From a young age.
Yes.
Okay.
We had the telephone. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Johnny, she knows about phones.
I worked at the telephone company.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I worked at Pacific Telephone and Telegraph.
Oh, when did you work there?
I worked there right at the end of school. I got a job there working to help my dad. And yeah, it was I think I was in high school when I got that job. Before that, I worked at a drugstore, Hopkins Drugstore, was a soda jerk. I
Okay.
loved that.
Yeah.
And
Was that your
did
first
a lot
job?
of babysitting, huh?
Was that your first official job, the drugstore?
Yeah, the drugstore was. Yeah, working for someone else it was.
Okay.
Working at the drugstore, I was a soda jerk. It was great. Everybody came in there, and you got to see everybody because I love people.
Yeah.
And that I enjoyed. Then after high school, I got the job at the Pacific Telephone and Telegraph.
Okay.
You're an operator.
I was a long distance operator.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
When did you start driving?
My sweetheart taught me to drive, but I wasn't marriage yet. After that, he said, if he'd been married, he claimed I tore the clutch out of the car. It was one of those, you know, that you had to brake and do all that. It took a while to learn that. It doesn't come easy like it does a man. It just comes to them automatic. But he taught me.
Okay. So you didn't have to get like a license back in that time?
Oh, well, yeah, then I got a license.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, I had to get a driver's license after he taught me.
Okay. What was your first car?
The first car that we had was his little 47 Ford.
Okay.
Cute. It was a little coupe. It was a cute navy blue. I remember that. I liked it.
Yeah. Do you remember the model? What it was? Was it
Coupe? I don't know. It was
Okay.
a 1947 Ford.
Okay. Okay.
In fact, that one wedding picture. That's it. See that picture of John and I? We're sitting in the back seat of that car.
Oh yeah, there.
Yeah, it was a 47 Ford, and we
Okay.
headed to Alabama in it, so I could meet his family. I had never met his family.
So you drove to Coleman, Alabama.
Hmm.
Do you remember that at all?
Oh yes, it was beautiful. Got to go through Arizona, New Mexico. You could see John Wayne out there making movies.
Wow.
Yeah, that was fun. I love going through all those little stores in New Mexico. Yeah, and then we went through Texas. That was big. I thought we'd never get through Texas.
Yeah.
We went that way all the way. We went Route 66. You've probably heard of that. It's Route 66.
Yeah.
It was a song they put out about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have great memories of it. We'd stop along the way at all those cute little places.
Yeah.
They were out there selling turquoise jewelry.
Right.
Yeah.
So, besides those states, have you been anywhere else? I mean, in the world, for that matter.
Well, we went a lot of trips to Solvang. Went to I love Sedona
Okay.
in Arizona, and the Oak Creek Canyon. I just fell in love with that. Have you ever seen it?
I have personally no, I have not.
Oh, you have to see the Oak Creek Canyon. When you come into that and go down through that canyon, then you drop into Sedona.
Okay.
That's pretty. Then you come the Flagstaff way and you come in the other way. So I went through those states too. But then we'd go back every summer with the guys for quite a few years so the grandparents could see them. And we'd go
Right.
in a big old station wagon for Alabama
Right.
so
Right.
they could see their grandparents.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Let's see here. Do you remember, like the price of things when you were younger?
Oh yes, a loaf of bread was a nickel. I was born in 1929, but then see, I was 4 or 5 years old. Bread was a nickel
For a
loaf
whole
of
loaf.
bread. Mhm. Candy bars, you got 3 for a dime. I love Mr. Goodbar.
Mr. Goodbar?
Yeah, I love Mr. Goodbar.
Do you remember at what point in time do you remember like how much like a gallon of gas was, or like
No, I didn't pay any attention to gas, but that would have been Dad's job. I don't know. I didn't pay attention, but it
Okay.
was nothing. Not like today.
Yeah.
And then after I was with my husband, then you'd see, but I never did look to see what he paid for a gallon. But he said just put $1 worth in. We didn't have any money. He just said put $1 worth in of gas.
Yeah.
That's all he could spare at one time, was $1.
Right.
Then we'd fill it up again. So it must have had quite a few miles in it.
Yeah. Do you know what it was when you started driving, when you were older?
What it was. But
How much gas was like when you were an adult and driving?
No, I didn't pay attention.
No.
I couldn't tell you what gasoline was.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess if I would have been filling the car, I would have. But he always took care of that.
Right. Let's see here.
Where'd you get all these cute questions?
Oh, we typed them up. Me and my mom did, actually.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
You and your mom did.
Yes.
I know she's a brain out here. She's very intelligent.
Indeed, yes. Very smart.
You're lucky you got her brains in too. Huh? Her looks and her brains.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. When you were younger, what did you want to be when you grew up?
At one time, I thought I was going to be a nun,
And then,
but then I didn't want to be a teaching one. I wanted to travel. I wanted to do missionary work if I did it.
right.
And then it didn't pan out.
Yeah.
I went to work at the telephone company. Then I met Johnny Luyben, and I was 20 when I married him.
You were 20 years old when you got
20
married.
years old when I married him. Yeah.
And how long were you married for? About.
We celebrated our 60th. Our anniversary was July 15th, 1950. And then just had celebrated our 60th, and then he died in December.
Okay.
So we said, no, this last July would have been 70 years.
Wow.
The big 7-0. But he'll be gone 10 years in December 17th.
Wow.
Oh, and I miss him more every day. You never get over it.
Yeah.
He was the love of my life. Yeah, we just did everything together and raised those 7 boys. It was a lot of work.
Yeah.
Everyone has their moments, but we did it. That's
Yeah.
what matters.
Definitely. How did you meet John, your husband?
I actually, his sister Dolores Bedard lined up a date for us to go out. But then when I worked at the drugstore, she sent him over there at the drugstore, but she didn't tell me. I don't know if he was just checking me out or what, but he came to the drugstore, and I was talking to another fellow at the end of the counter because they were all friends.
Right.
And he came in and sat down. And I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "I'll have a cherry Coke." So I gave it to him, and that was the end of it. And I went back and talked with the boy. All of a sudden, we heard a noise, and he had his hot rod out there. I guess he went around that building and took off. So he was definitely on the jealous side. And I didn't even know I didn't know him from Adam. I didn't know who he was.
Right.
Then after that, she lined up a date. And
How did you know Dolores?
Pardon?
How did you know Dolores?
From the Antonian Club.
Oh,
Her and Morris, I knew from the Antonian Club.
you know what the Antonian Club is, Johnny?
Yeah, I belonged to the Antonian Club at St. Anthony's.
What is that?
Well, Monsignor Dolan lined it all up, and later he said it was actually a matrimonial bureau because everybody that went to that club got married. So he did the right thing, but he wanted them to marry someone of their own faith, and they'd be better in life. So he did a
It's a
good
social
job,
club.
Monsignor Dolan.
Social club out of St. Anthony's.
Yeah,
Okay.
pardon?
It was a social club out of
Yes.
St. Anthony's
Mhm.
for Catholics.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Single
Catholic young
Catholics.
kids. Mhm.
When you were born, was your family Catholic, or did you?
Yes, they were
Okay.
all Catholic people. All the Reddings were, and Weidenkosts were Catholic, and Luyben's. We were all Catholic.
Okay.
Mhm.
Um,
And then I have to say one other thing. I wasn't aware, but he saw me at St. Anthony's, and I was there at a novena because I used to go to all the novenas because I
Right.
went to St. Anthony's.
right.
And he told the Blessed Mother, "I'll take that one." He used to tell me that, and I never saw him.
Really?
I teased him. I said, "Well, you were a stalker. I didn't know who you were." And he said, "I'll take that one," and he had to think that worked out.
Wow.
But see, it shows you can find your mate maybe at church.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here. What did your family do for like holidays? Did you, for like Christmas and Thanksgiving and?
Before I was married or after I was married?
Both, before and
Both.
after.
Well, the main thing before marriage, we always had Christmas dinner together. Mother would make a beautiful turkey dinner and all that, and it was always family. That's what we did. We had family things.
Okay.
And the same pretty much after we married, because when you have all those little kiddies, that you have to make a big meal for the family.
Yeah.
So they were always at home. We were family,
Okay.
family dinners. Go to the park. We had reunions with a lot of the relatives.
Okay.
Didn't we go to the park and stuff for that?
Okay. Were your parents from California, or were they from out of state?
They were out of state. My mother was born in Badger, South Dakota.
Okay.
And my dad was born in Idaho. But I guess they were visiting in South Dakota, and that's where he met my mother. But then again, I was told that he saw her at St. Anthony's. So maybe he met her out here. I don't know.
Okay.
She's been gone since 1963. She died.
Okay. And they.
She was 75 when she died.
So he went from Idaho to South Dakota and
Yeah,
happened to.
and they knew the Weinkaufs there. Weinkaufs had, well, they had them like in sections. They owned a beautiful big farm.
Okay.
Picture of it with the horse out front. It was beautiful, and it was a wheat farm,
Okay.
and the family always worked it.
Okay.
So it's
Um,
not far from Arlington, South Dakota.
Okay.
But it was a little town called Badger.
Badger, South Dakota.
Mhm.
Okay. Do you know where your grandparents originated from?
Well, my grandfather, it was from Germany.
So he was
She was Irish, so I don't know. But they met out here. I don't know. The only cousin I got left is Mona Clemens. I could ask her where they were born, but
But your grandfather, on which side, was from Germany?
on my mother's side,
So your
my
grandfather.
dad's
on-
side were Irish.
Okay, but you know for sure that your grandfather on your mother's side was an immigrant from Germany.
Yes,
Okay.
we had that big farm there in South Dakota.
Okay. And he moved to South Dakota from Germany.
Mhm. They migrated and came to South Dakota.
Okay.
Huge, big wheat farm.
Yeah. Wheat farm.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think were the three biggest news events throughout your lifetime that you remember?
The biggest way?
Like news events.
News events
Yeah.
of my lifetime. Oh, when John F. Kennedy was killed, that bothered me. I remember crying because I loved him. And of course, the earthquake when it hit, that was a big event. And that type of thing, you mean?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Then I was happy when I graduated from St. Anthony's.
Yeah.
Went up to the Palladium, went dancing.
Yeah.
That was fun. Those were big events.
What year did you graduate?
1947.
1947. Okay. What was the biggest purchase that you made with your husband
The largest purchase
that you both made together?
in the beginning, or for
In general, was it your first home?
well, yeah, a home would be, yeah. He got the GI Bill, and so that was a good rate in those days. And we bought the little home on Los Coyotes, Long Beach,
Do you remember how much that was?
$9,950.
$9,950.
That's what a home cost in 1950. They were a beautiful track home over there off of Los Coyotes, the Plaza they call it, and that was our first home.
How big was it?
That was a 3-bedroom,
Okay.
1 bath, had a nice kitchen.
And that was in what city again?
That was Long Beach over there in the Plaza.
So you bought a 3-bedroom, 1 bath in Long Beach for
Uh-huh.
$9,900.
$9,950. It was
$950.
almost 10, yeah,
Off of Palo Verde,
yeah. In spring, over in that area, but
Los Coyotes diagonal,
Uh-huh.
just north of,
north. Mhm.
north of the Vons over there
That's right.
on
30.
Spring Street.
It was 3188 Los Coyotes.
Yeah.
Lovely parquet flooring. They were a lovely home. But
Yeah.
then after that, we moved to Garden Grove. He wanted his own business. He started the Garden Grove Ambulance and Sick Room Supplies.
Okay.
So we moved to Garden Grove, sold that one, went to Garden Grove, and then you didn't step up too much. It was only 15,000, I think, for that home, and
Right.
up there in Garden Grove.
Interesting.
And then we moved back. Louise Dixon wanted him to run her mortuary, Lakewood Mortuary. So then we moved back. We bought the one on Denmead. That was the one that was 15. The one was 12 in Garden Grove. It was 15 then. So they jumped from like 10, they go to 12, 15. You know, that was all the jump in those days, you know.
Right.
And then we lived on Denmead. And then from Denby, 1963, we moved over to Sunfield.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, 4863 Sunfield. And then that was the next jump was here, and we moved to the country club.
Okay. What political party was your family?
They were all Democrat.
All Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
And then
My dad liked Roosevelt. They were all Democrats in those days, but then as I got older, it can change for the way that they are. I vote for the person,
right.
not the party.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
When was the first time that you traveled by airplane?
The first time I had to get on an airplane when my dad was dying in San Francisco. I remember John felt so bad because he loved to fly and he wanted to take me up in an airplane and he didn't get to. But it was one of those things that my dad was in 1954 and they had him in Arizona, and then they said they were going to send him to San Francisco because they could help him. And their main purpose, they wanted him there so they could do an autopsy, and that upset me terrible. And I said no, I refused him. I said there'll be no autopsy because he was so sick and he wanted to come home. He was dying of lung cancer. My father was a smoker. He was just a young boy when he started. He was only 59 when he died with it, but they took him up there and couldn't do a thing for him. So made it hard on the family because we wanted to bring him home.
Of course.
And they only did that so they could have their way with it. So then I put the kibosh to it. We had our own mortuary, so I said, no, there won't be any autopsy. They already told us it was lung cancer.
Right.
You know. So that was the first time I was on an airplane.
Okay.
Then after that, I got to fly with my husband to Alabama
Okay.
a couple times. Did that.
Who was the first president that you voted for?
I think it was Roosevelt.
Roosevelt.
Yeah. We liked him.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm sure I was able to vote at that age, I think, when he was in power. In office, I think it was. Mm-hmm.
What would you say is the most memorable moment of your life
The most memorable? When I got married.
when you got married?
Mm-hmm. When I married Johnny Luyben. I said, I can do it. I'll hang in there and stick in. I can do it.
Yeah.
We got married at Holy Innocents in Long Beach. Off of Pasadena over there, in the Wrigley area. That's where my parish was.
Okay. Do you remember the first movie you went to see in like theaters?
The first movie?
Yeah.
Oh, a Stagecoach with John Wayne. I thought he had charisma. I says, that man will be a legend one day. Fell in love with John Wayne.
Yeah.
He was my favorite. And darn, that became a legend, that movie. That's one of the better ones. That was my first movie.
Okay. Wow. What do you remember most about your children when they were young? Your
When they
kids.
were young. Oh, they were so lively. I had all sisters, you know, except for one younger brother. He was so mild. They were very busy. They were very active. Joseph was extremely active. Greg talked to him into jumping off the roof when he was 2 years old. He thought he was Superman. He had watched that Superman on TV, and he went in and put a cape on and thought he could jump off the roof. More than anything, they were active, but I loved them all dearly. They were
Yeah.
special in each their own way. Gregory was a tough little fella.
Yeah.
He didn't just peel an orange, he'd take it with his mouth, and he could peel an orange with his mouth. Get a kick out of it. And Mr. John over here, he'd always, when we go to Alabama, he had the notebook out, and he was writing everything about all the travels. And I have that in the garage somewhere in a box, and I saved it, because it was so special. He wrote about the whole trip.
Wow.
Yeah, he was the intellectual.
Yeah. What about your grandchildren?
My grandchildren?
Yeah.
I had 34 of them. They're all great kids. They're all doing good, I guess. You know, I don't get to see them a lot because they're all busy.
Right.
Then some moved out to Temecula
Yeah.
in Marietta area.
Right.
I went to all their weddings. They're all married and have their families, so they're busy.
Yeah.
So I don't get to see them like I used to when they were little twerps.
Right. So you have 34 grandchildren.
34 grandchildren.
Wow. Incredible.
And great.
74 or 75 it is great. So there's 109 altogether. I have 109 grandchildren.
Wow. That's incredible.
With their help. Yeah, I think it's 109. Martin told me. Martin keeps track and calls me and tells me how many. And today I got to remember to call little young Gregory. I think he's 38 today.
Really?
You know young Gregory?
Yes.
Do you? Yeah.
When you were younger, did you have anything that you like collected, or
Pardon?
when you were younger, did you like collect anything, or like like?
I did. Believe it or not, I loved movies, and I had a lot of movie star pictures, and I had books full of them, and that they were autographed. You know, I
Really?
ran into Red Skelton once right at Cress's in Long Beach, and he put "I Doed It," Red Skelton, and I had a big book full of those.
Wow.
Yeah, so I liked that because that was fun in our day. They were good, nice, clean movies, and they had a Legion of Decency list they called, so we'd always check on it before we go to the movies. But they were just like westerns and cute stories, you know.
Right. Of course.
Jimmy Cagney ones, Spencer Tracy, and they were good movies. You could go to the theater in those days. Today would be different.
Yeah. Do you remember how much you made at your first job per hour?
10 cents an hour.
10 cents an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep, 10 cents an hour at the Hopkins. It was called Hopkins Drugstore. Then you took the trash out at night.
Yeah.
And put it on the curb. But you met a lot of nice people. There were people that lived in the area,
Right.
Wrigley area.
Of course.
A lot of cute fellows too.
Let's see. Is there anything that you're very proud of that you haven't told anyone about that you would like people to know, future generations to know?
My beautiful family. That's what I'm the most proud of. My 7 sons, they're all hard workers. They've had large families. They all kept their faith. They all go to church. That's what I'm most proud of, is my family.
Okay. Beautiful. When you were growing up as a child, did you have any pets? Anything like that?
No, no pets.
No pets.
No pets. My dad was afraid they'd bite us. No pets.
Okay. Who was like your hero or role model when you were younger, a child? Like who did you look up to?
My role model was the Blessed Mother.
Mother.
She was my role model.
Yeah.
The Blessed Mother. And a lot of saints I prayed to. It's your faith that gets you through. That was my most precious gift, was my faith
Right.
from God.
What was the best gift you remember receiving as a child?
As a child. As a child, I'm trying to remember. Because my folks, we didn't have a lot.
Right.
You know, we had very little. So I would think maybe at Christmas mother would make a big deal. It was probably a little doll.
Okay.
I love babies.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see here. Who was more strict, your mother or your father?
My mother, she was the German. Daddy was easygoing. He was easy. The Irishman.
Okay. What's your first most vivid memory? Like the first memory you have of your entire life that you can remember vividly.
A memory,
Yeah. Anything.
anything.
Just the earliest point in your life that you can remember something.
Memory. Something that would happen, you mean, or just any memory that
Yeah, just like your
stuck in your mind?
yeah, just your first like the first thing you remember and like how young were you?
Think. I think of my first memory of just anything. You mean that's something that's some probably that earthquake. That's
Earthquake.
That's stuck in my mind.
Okay.
Something like that.
Okay. Wait. Do you remember like segregation at all?
That was a lot later in life.
Oh, it was.
Yeah. And then I had been to Alabama, so then I heard a lot of things there. And actually, growing up, we didn't know what prejudice was. There was one little black girl that went to school there. We all loved her. She was the pet of the class. So I didn't know what that was to be prejudiced. But then I learned some in Alabama. That was a very prejudiced state. Alabama was.
Right.
The priest made a remark to me one day. It was so bad there that he said, I guess Christ will have to get back on the cross again and go through this because what was going on in Alabama. So that's where that all came from.
Right.
States like that. But we didn't have it out here. I never was prejudiced. They were like special. In fact, I'd love to go to Los Angeles to go shopping because there'd be black people up there shopping in the Bay Company. And they didn't have any in Long Beach at that time.
Okay.
So we go, of course they didn't have big mall like they did, not a mall, but big stores.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So there was no like whites only, blacks only anywhere. there?
Pretty much Los Angeles, it was white up there too, but it was more black up there.
Right. Well, I mean like in restaurants, like like how they would segregate it, like white only seating, black only seating.
No, I never saw that till I went to Alabama.
So never saw it out here in California.
Never saw it in California. Yeah, they'd be like white at a restaurant. I said, what is this? White, then it'd say black. So that was in Alabama. That's where they were prejudiced. It was not out here in California. I never knew what that was.
Okay. But you remember that from Alabama though?
Yes, I do. I remember that in Alabama. And I was 21, 22 then.
Interesting. And then you said when your grandparents came here to California, right? Did they come to California?
Which grandparent? I mean, the grandma and grandpa Weidenkopf lived in Long Beach.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know where they came from, but they lived in Long Beach. But Weidenkopf on my mother's side, they lived in South Dakota.
Okay. Do you know anything about your husband's parents?
Oh yeah, husband's parents. His mother, her maiden name was Richard, and she had one brother and 8 sisters. They were a large family, and they lived in Coleman.
Coleman.
And then Mr. Luyben lived. He was born in Kentucky, I think. He was one of those other states, and he had one brother and one sister.
And his name was John as well?
The grandfather?
Your husband's father?
Yeah, he was John Luyben's senior.
Okay.
Yeah, that's John's dad, but I never met the grandparents. I never met them.
Okay. Do you remember when you went there? What did they do? His family.
Mr. Luyben?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was appliances sales. He had his own store there. He didn't always. He used to work for Mr. Lygaber. Then when he left California, he came out here and lived a while. And then he went back and he had his own appliance store.
The Luyben Boyke store?
Yeah, the Luyben Boyke came to work for him.
Okay. Interesting.
But he was a salesman.
Yeah.
His folks were all farmers, but that wasn't his deal. So
Yeah.
he was a good, wonderful salesman.
Right. Of course. Was there anything that your husband liked to do specifically, like any hobbies he had, or
Oh, he loved cars.
loved cars?
He loved cars. He didn't work on them, but he loved cars. And we'd go to the antique car shows, and he knew every one of them.
Really?
Yeah, he knew his cars. He especially loved the antique cars
Yeah.
more than new ones. He loved the antique cars. That he liked, and he loved guns.
Yeah.
Hmm.
What guns did he own?
I don't know, one gun from another.
So he owned a lot.
He had a gun collection. Yeah, I sold them all.
Really? Yeah.
The shooters out there in Marietta. Yeah, I was uncomfortable with guns in the house.
Yeah.
But I'd be with him when he'd buy them. But he loved guns and he knew his guns. And then our son Jimmy had a gun store in Yucca Valley.
Yeah.
Yucca Valley sporting goods, they call it. It was a sporting goods, but
Right.
he had a lot of guns in there. And he bought some through him because Jimmy bought them and get them.
Right.
Yeah, but they're all gone now.
Yeah. So your family owned guns your whole life, basically.
Not all of our life. No, it was mainly later after the boys were gone is when he bought guns.
Oh, after your children had grown up.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. Do you remember like his favorite car that he owned specifically?
He had a little roadster. I think used to hear him talk about that. It was a little roadster he had, and he got one. But then what was the name of that little car? It was a sleep job. He gets up early. I almost thought of it then. I'm not big on cars, but my boys like new cars, but Dad loved antique cars.
Right.
There was one that he really loved, and he got it, but he didn't get it all put together. Can't remember the name of it now. Maybe John can remember. Wait till I'll ask him. He can remember.
Let's see here. What was your favorite food as a child?
Favorite food? I had a sweet tooth.
Yeah.
I love sweets.
Yeah.
That's my favorite. Daddy'd take me to get a candy bar. Now don't tell Mother. I like Mr. Goodbar. Don't tell Mother because you have to eat your dinner first. I adored my dad. I hold his hand. The two of us would walk from 2090 Daisy down to Pacific. That was a dollar store there way back in those days.
Yeah.
And I have happy memories of doing that with my dad. I really was close to my dad. Very close to him.
In your opinion, what's the best thing about being a parent and a grandparent?
Say that again?
What's the best thing about being a parent and a grandparent?
Being a parent. The best thing about it, the love you have for your sons. That's the best part of it. You do your best and you want them to be happy and
Right.
do what they want to do. That's the best part.
Right. Let me see.
See the little activities at school. I used to go to that. John always had to work, but I would go to little things they'd have at school. I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I'll never forget when I wanted them to have swimming lessons. The dad didn't think they needed it because he didn't. They just took them there in Alabama and they just threw them into a pool and they said swim. Where I says no, I want them to learn right because I never knew how to swim. I didn't get the chance, so I took them. He was so cute, John. It was at Pat McCormick over here,
Okay.
and they had the little classes, swordfish. I don't know all the different names of the fish was the class. And it was so cute because at one he won, and he looked back at me and he went like this because he was so proud that he did it. He won.
Yeah.
Yet John loved to win. He put his heart and soul into things
Yeah, absolutely.
to win. You know, that was a great joy.
Yeah. How was life like before the internet?
Oh, I used to get phone calls. You could talk to people. I don't have internet.
Okay.
Thank God I don't want it. I don't need to have a cell phone. I like my landline, and I loved it. I think that's the thing that's saddest to see, that they're losing communication with their family when you can't pick up a phone and call them or talk to them. Everything is these machines, and they don't even know you're around. And it's a different world. I think it's done a lot of damage that way. A lack of communication.
Yeah. Definitely. What companies do you remember being a big deal when you were early adult, childhood, like companies that were like everyone knew? Companies, yeah.
A big company? Oh, I loved a company. You mean a store?
Yeah, like a store or like a brand or like something that was.
Oh, I see. Well, yeah, I loved makeup. And I loved Bullock's when it was across the street. I watched them build it. I had the pictures when they started. Now they built it underground, did the whole thing over there when we lived on Sunfield. And I loved, that was called Bullock's then. And I loved Bullock's department store. Then they sold to Macy's.
Okay.
Macy's is still a good store. And I used to love Buffum's in Long Beach. Buffum's was a nice store. I don't know if you ever remember that. That was a nice store, Buffum's. And I loved that one. It's the way they wrap packages were beautiful.
Right.
They did courtesy wrap. I love that. And Desmond's was a nice store. May Company I always liked. So those kind of companies I liked.
Yeah. Do
Hated
you?
to see that store go out? That was too bad that went out.
What was like the supermarket or like the Target equivalent of where you used to go?
It was always let's see, what was the name of that one over here in the mall? Lucky's.
Lucky's.
I loved Lucky's. Yeah, I used to shop there. I was right on Sunfield, so it goes right in the corner over here in the mall. I loved Lucky's.
Yeah.
That was a great store. One of my favorite. I was sick when they went out. Mm-hmm.
When you were like just married around that time, how much money would you need to like go out for the night and like do something fun, like go to dinner and a movie or something like that?
John wasn't big on movies. We didn't go to many movies later, but if we went out to dinner, it'd probably cost you $10.
For a
Yeah, to go out and have dinner.
really?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
$10, $15, you could go get dinner.
So if you had like,
Beautiful restaurants. That I miss that today, and I especially loved the El Dorado. It was a supper club, and it was one of the best steaks in town, and it was very nice. I miss that a lot. It was over there on Studebaker,
okay,
right off of Spring.
interesting.
Spring and Studebaker. It's called the El Dorado. They called it a supper club.
Okay. Interesting.
Got more expensive then. Then it was more expensive.
Yeah.
Just in the beginning, you said, yeah, we could. Vivian Laird's and all those restaurants in Long Beach was very reasonable.
Did you ever go to the beach? The beach when you were younger?
Oh, love the beach.
Really?
Oh yeah, I went to the beach a lot. It was free.
What beach did you go to?
Went right there. Let's see, coming down from St. Anthony's, where Alamedas would be, and go right down where the Rainbow Pier was.
So
Right off of Pine Avenue. Would
Okay.
be you could go out there and walk around
Yeah.
the pier.
is that Seal Beach or Long Beach?
That's Long Beach.
Long Beach. Okay.
Right off Pine Avenue.
Okay.
We call Pine Avenue. It was the Spine Avenue, the backbone of the city.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that was beautiful to walk out of Rainbow Pier.
Yeah.
You could walk, you'd be out on the ocean, and there was went around like this. It changed everything. It's not the same.
Yeah.
Of course, everything's so crowded today.
Right.
That you can't go at all. You can't do anything today.
Yeah. Was it any? I thought I heard something about someone. It was either your husband or one of your children that tried doing real estate. Was that the case? Did someone in your family?
John went to real estate school.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, he was almost to the end. I don't know. He was so busy working and doing other things in City College. You know, he had two majors: political science and public administration.
Okay.
He went to Long Beach State, but he went in for a while, but
Okay.
he didn't finish it.
But your husband never had any affiliation
No,
with that?
he didn't. But
Okay.
he sold many a home.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, he wasn't a realtor, but he sold them, and he gave a lot of good deals to people that he knew that were realtors.
Okay.
To people that were going to sell a home, and he would refer them. And,
Okay.
yeah. Oh yeah, he bought many homes he could sell. He built that business in Garden Grove. He sold it to Bowers when he came back.
Bowers Ambulance, right?
Bowers Ambulance, yeah, they
Right.
bought it. It was called the Garden Grove Ambulance and Sick Room Supplies. And he sold it to them because Louise her name is Dixon, she owned Sheeler's Mortuary in Lakewood. She wanted him to manage them, so then we moved back here. We went to Garden Grove, moved back to Lakewood.
Okay. Do you remember anything specifically about my father as a child?
Your father? Let's see. Didn't get to see them that much.
Yeah.
Because the Linda's side were so attached, and you know, it's the girls' side. They all come first, so they would get to be with them more. But I went to their first communion, their baptism, special events, things like that.
Right.
They were darling little children. Yeah.
Yeah.
Little Johnny was cute, and Matt, Chris, and Lana. I maybe said Lana once, but
Yeah.
they kind of go to their mother's side.
Yeah. Was my how close was my father to your husband?
Your father,
To your husband?
to my husband?
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know if they were very close. They were close to the Parkers.
Right. Okay.
They came first,
Right.
so I don't know if they were close or not. If he ever even talked to him, I don't know.
Okay.
You'd have to ask your dad that.
Yeah.
He'd remember.
Yeah.
If I wasn't around or something, you know.
Right.
I was busy helping my husband start that mortuary.
Right. So when your husband, what do you know? What year your husband started Luyben Family Mortuary?
67, was it?
67. And then did he sold it, correct?
Yeah, I think it was in 70, 67, 8, I don't know. In the late 70s, maybe, or 80s.
Oh, so he sold it soon after he created it?
Pardon?
He sold Luyben Mortuary
Yeah.
soon after he made it?
Wasn't soon. He had it quite a while. And then he was 67 when he
Oh.
retired.
Okay.
Mhm.
What made him want to go into that field? Was there any reason?
I used to ask at one time because his dad was a salesman and John was a great salesman, but he, in that little town of Coleman, he knew the funeral director there. It was called Grady Moss, was the name of the funeral home. And I think when he saw those beautiful big cars and stuff that they had for the funerals.
Right, the
And that got
hearses.
that got him interested in it, and he just got interested in it. When I met him, he'd already was finished with California College of Mortuary Science. That was what he wanted to do.
Wow.
So he was an embalmer, and then when we got our own place, he had to get a funeral director's license when you own your own. And that's what he wanted. Then in the service, he was a pharmacist mate, and he was more in the medical field.
Right. Okay. Did he talk about his time in the war much?
Not really. He just he couldn't get over all the guys that got so seasick. He never did. And that ship could go up this way, he said, and be on rough waters, and it never bothered. He never got seasick. Oh, I envied him because we went on one little cruise to Ensenada, and I was deathly sick.
Right.
Oh yeah, so I could, but it never bothered him, and he couldn't understand all these guys coming in and throwing up, being so sick.
Right.
They were all seasick, so I thought that was it. Yeah, so he was meant to be in the Navy.
Yeah.
You know, so he enlisted in the Navy, and then he was attached to the Marines down in San Diego.
Okay.
So he always said he had 2 boot camps, the Navy and the Marine boot camp too.
Interesting.
So he went to 2 of them. I can
Awesome.
hear him saying that, telling that, you know, when people would talk to him.
Right.
You know,
Wow. Is there anything? Because the goal of this video is, you know, so that I can show my children, and then they can show their children, and so on and so forth.
really?
Yeah.
Kind of a family thing, huh?
Yes. Is there anything that you would want to tell them if they're watching this and maybe?
Your children. Oh, they're
10.
beautiful children, all smart and oh yeah, beautiful family that Johnny and Christy have raised. I think there's an absolutely beautiful family.
Yeah.
They're not only beautiful children, but their mannerism and their way, they're just beautiful children.
Right.
Yeah, I love them all dearly. I don't get to see them much, you know, because people move away and they do this, and then with so many, 109,
Right.
that's a lot of grandchildren. But anytime anybody comes, they're welcome. I love to see them.
Yeah.
I can always whip up a sandwich.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. That was the end of the questions. Is there anything else that you'd like to say?
I appreciate you doing this today, taking time out to do it. I think you're very special.
Thank you.
You're handsome too.
Thank you.
You got a pretty great grandpa. I love him dearly. He's
Yeah.
my first baby.
Yeah.
My Johnny. He was a beautiful baby. Did you ever see his baby book?
I have not. No.
Oh, I gotta show you. He walked when he was I think 6 months old, 7 months.
6 months.
He can walk. Yeah, I gotta stand a bit.
Yeah.
I sit so long and then I
Yeah.
get stiffen up.
Yeah.
The old girl's getting old.